What is up, guys, and welcome to the Underhold LFR guide. This is the third portion of the Siege of Orgrimmar raid guide. And this is going to be the LFR guide as always, and in this guide we're going to have Malkorok, Spoils of Pandaria, and Thok. So as you can see here, I went through every fight, tried to stand in things, tried to find different ways to die, as well as to test different abilities that were going on during the fight to see if they would actually kill you, and then what you really need to watch out for while you're in LFR. This LFR really comes down to tanks, and that's pretty much it. Okay, if you have a couple of really good tanks, you're probably okay. DPS needs to be pretty mediocre, heals again need to be pretty mediocre, and you can get through this. Malkorok, let's get right into this one. Malkorok is going to be pretty simple. Okay, you can get hit by Breath of Sage. You do need to soak the balls. You can't let all three of them go off and get hit by Breath of Sage, so don't do that. So obviously try to soak them if you can. Our group did pretty good, but as you can see throughout the encounter we actually did let a few go, and it doesn't do a ton of damage. I stood in breath quite a few times to see what it would do, and obviously as you can see it does not kill you. So keep that in mind as well, as that you can take it. Obviously if you get hit by the second one, make sure you're popping a personal cooldown before you go in it, and you'll probably actually be okay. However, if you can avoid it, it's better to avoid it. In phase 2 we all stacked up, half the group stacked behind the boss, half the group stacked in front of the boss, and we still managed to kill him. So that means pretty much all you need is about 5 to 6 people stacked up, realistically. So if you have a quarter of the people who know what they're doing, you should be okay, especially if they're the tank. Again, for phase 2 you need to make sure that you're stacking up on the tank and that heals are going out. That's going to be the biggest thing that you run into, and then obviously spreading back out for phase 1 again, soaking the void zones and dodging his smashes as well as Breath of Sage if possible. But as you can see throughout the rest of this encounter, it's kind of trivial if you get hit by one of the things or you don't soak all of the pools. It's not a huge deal, but it does obviously help, and it will prevent wipes in this encounter. Alright, next up we have Spoils of Pandaria. This fight really does take tanks who understand the encounter and can hold AoE threat. Again, if you do not have this as you, we did wipe in this encounter one time before we killed it, and as you will see in this encounter, pretty much any damage done pulls aggro, so I had to be very, very gentle on what I was DPSing and how quickly I was DPSing them down. You'll see throughout this kill shot that pretty much the tank on our side had no idea what he was doing. Literally, all you need to do is, as things are dying, open more boxes. Make sure that you're getting to your 50 energy on the top, and then make sure that both sides are staying roughly the same. If you need a DPS to go over to the other side, that's fine. But more than likely, it's not going to be a DPS issue as much as it's going to be a tanking issue. As you can see here, I'm damn near dead already from pulling aggro off a mob, and he really, the tank in this one really couldn't hold more than one target at a time. He just had no idea what he was doing. I scrolled over his damage at one point. I think it was blood boil only, pretty much, and that would explain a lot of the issues. But without getting too much into that, this fight is solely about tanks, making sure that you understand the mechanics so that you can DPS these down. Again, you're opening boxes until you get to 50 energy. In LFR, the panda boxes are not clickable, so you cannot get the panda buffs. So you're literally just opening up all the rest of the boxes. So you kind of just start at one end of the room and just kind of keep opening around the room as the ads die, and that's really the easiest way to do it. There is kill priorities, obviously Kunchongs, urns, when you get to the big boxes, making sure that you're getting the mini bosses down. If you get bombs on you, don't just blow up in the raid. Make sure you run out. It doesn't kill you. You'll see later in this fight, I took bombs and literally had no cooldowns up or anything just to see what it would do, and it took me down to about 25% health. So it won't quite one-shot you, but it's pretty close. Any extra damage that you take during that phase when you're blowing up will kill you. So make sure that if you're just running out and dropping your bombs, or running out and popping a personal cooldown and then letting it explode, it just really depends on how you want to do it. But that's really going to be your biggest thing. Obviously, don't stand in stuff on the ground. It's bad. That's Blizzard 101. Once you go into the second room, though, again, it's the same thing. It's just literally rinse and repeat, with the only added mechanic being you need to stand in the big red beams, or else they explode and do a lot of ray damage. You will see in our kill shot that we did not stand in one the first time, and it did do about 60% of our health disappeared. So again, won't kill you, but combo that with pretty much anything else and it will kill you. So you do need to make sure that you're standing in those. And again, you really only need a really good tank, a decent healer, and a few decent DPS who kind of know the kill priority system, and you're going to be fine in this one. As you'll see throughout the encounter, we lost quite a few people. Didn't really matter, wasn't a huge deal. It's mainly, again, tanks trying to hold aggro is going to be the biggest issue that you're going to have here in LFR. So if you have things like Tricks of the Trade or Mr. X or anything like that, please make sure you use them. If you do pull threat, make sure that you're dropping threat. Don't run away from the raid to where you can't taunt it. Just try to drop threat as best you can. Pop a personal, pop a health stone, whatever it is that you can do, try to survive. But if you can do those things, you can kill this fight pretty easy. And go ahead and watch the rest of this kill shot, and then we will head on over, and I will see you at Thok. Alright guys, the final boss in the Underhold LFR is going to be Thok. And Thok is very similar to normal mode with very subtle differences. Obviously if you stand in front of him it won't kill you, but it's better to stand on the side of him regardless. If you stand behind him, again, it won't kill you, but it is better to stand on the side of him regardless. Obviously the quicker you can get into or the longer you can prolong phase 1, the better. Tanks need to know how to swap in this and when to swap in this. That will be one of the big things. But it seemed as though you pretty much had a set time to be in phase 1. It didn't seem that we ever dropped with, I didn't see the Blood Frenzy debuff, so I don't think that that's a thing on LFR. I think it's mainly you just have to survive for a certain amount of time, and then it will go into the phase transitions. Now in the phase transitions you do still need to kill the jailer, and then have your tank, you know, when fixates at about, we pushed it to about 11, 12, 13 stacks before we popped out the slave to get eaten, and then went into phase 1 again. But that seemed to be the best way to do it. So what we did is we went poison, then frost, then fire. So if you want to do it that way you can. I would just recommend whatever you do, don't do fire until the end, because it doesn't allow you to stack up, which I guess if there's no Blood Frenzy isn't a huge deal, but having that fire all over the ground can be a bit of a pain, so saving that until last phase is going to be nice. If you do get fixate on you, obviously you run away. In LFR he runs extremely slow. Even at 10 or 11 stacks he's pretty much just now getting back to like maybe 1 or 2 stacks at normal. So being aware of that. If you do get picked by fixate, obviously run to the opposite end of the room. Try not to run through your raid members. But as you can see, as Sloy moves, you just need to really be aware during the fixate phase to just not stand in front of him, because he will trample you. It does hurt. But pretty much it's, you know, kill Thok in phase 1. In phase 2, if you get fixate, run away. Kill the jailer, get back on Thok, and then obviously if you pick, make sure that you're not running it through the raid, and then when he's ready to go back into phase 1, so again about anywhere from 10 to 15 stacks depending on how your raid's doing DPS wise and intelligence wise, go ahead and pop that, and then you'll get him to eat the slave, go back into phase 1, and then it's literally rinse and repeat the rest of the fight. There's really no differences on this fight other than that. You just need to, again, make sure you're standing on the side, healing your tail off in phase 1, and you're going to be fine in this fight. Hope you guys like this guide. As always, if you want to help me out, give me a thumbs up. If you have any other questions about the boss, I do make normal mode or heroic mode guides for pretty much every single boss in here. So if you want to see a little bit more detailed version of any of the abilities that you won't really have to deal with in LFR, you can go ahead and check out my guides there. I have a whole Siege of Orgrimmar playlist for you. Otherwise, thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.